Alright, let's again take a breather from all those Transformers figures and go with a figure that I am not accustomed to reviewing. This is Marvel Mighty Mugg's Galactus. Okay, uh, let me talk about Mighty Mugs in general for just a minute right now. I'm not the type who really collects Mighty Mugs. I don't know. I've not gotten around to really collecting them. Um, I don't hate the figure. I just think that, um, well, compared to a Transformers Deluxe class figure or a Voyager figure, um, given that the price points are almost the same, he is about out here in Manila. A Voyager, well, no, a Deluxe class Transformers would usually cost us about $14 on regular retail at Toys R Us. Mighty Mugs would cost about $15. So you're paying just $1 more for a Mighty Mug. And I just think compared to a Transformers, these guys are pretty useless. They're just terribly cute and funny looking. And I see the appeal in that they do make the characters look like a caricature or a a I don't know, a shortened comic version of them. I think they've succeeded in what these guys have failed to do. These guys have actually made the characters look like kids, which doesn't quite appeal to a lot of the collectors. But there is a strong following for the Mighty Mugs for some reason, and I think it's because of that. They're a good display piece, and they're a better substitute for bobbleheads, because bobbleheads just freak me out, you know. I don't get the idea with bobblehead, but these guys are pretty. I think between the three, the heroes, the hero squad, robot heroes, whatnot, bobbleheads and Mighty Mugs. I think Mighty Mugs just take the cake. Okay. Um, what was I gonna say? Okay. Then I was just looking around at the toy shops, and everybody seems to be buying a Mighty Mug. So I decided, hey, why don't I just try out and get a Mighty Mug? Maybe just one or two or a couple. I'm not gonna collect everything, definitely not. And I decided, I gotta pick one that's quite unique, and it's gotta be somebody who's special because he's gonna be just one or two on my shelf. So I was looking around. I was looking at the Star Wars, Indiana Jones, a god awful Indiana Jones, Mighty Mugs. I was looking at Marvel, and everyone seemed great. They're all nice, but they were just all the same silhouette, until I found this guy, Galactus. Out here in Manila, he's pretty rare. I don't know in your part of the world, he's probably common, but out here is very rare. I never see him on the stores. He is like, I've only seen him twice. First time I saw him, I wasn't too happy with the paint smear here. The black had bleeded here and all parts. So I was going to pay $15 for a figure. I wasn't going to I'm going to be happy with the paint job, so might as well pass him up, even though he was a rare figure. So I went further up north, in one of our SM malls, the largest chain of malls in Manila, SM North, and it's quite far from where I live, and lo and behold, I saw him again, so I just had to pick him up. So there, this is my very first Mighty Mugs, and I couldn't be happier. We'll talk about the Mighty Mug figure in detail later, but let me just talk about Galactus for a minute right now. Um, well, Galactus. Well, I've always wanted a Galactus figure for my Marvel collection. I'm not a big fan of the Fantastic Four comic books, but I've always wanted to have a Galactus figure, just as a centerpiece or something like that. The alternatives previously were just the Build-A-Figure Galactus from Toy Biz, but the price was just way beyond my means, and I didn't really like the idea that you had to get all 7 or 8 figures that came with it, and each one had a part that built Galactus. I wasn't happy with the other figures. I was only happy with a few, and I just wanted the Galactus, and hobby shops were like pricing him ridiculously high. Some were even selling just the Galactus figure, and it was going for about $30, $40, and I thought it was ridiculous. So I decided, maybe want to get something, a substitute. So the other option was the the superhero squad. It was about this big as well. It had longer, more proportioned arms and legs, but it came with a human torch, and it was a good option. It was a good alternative, but the thing I hate about these guys is that they look like kids and they're smiling. So it was a Galactus that was smiling, and I just couldn't buy it. So I was resigned to the fact that I'd never get a Galactus until I found him. And there you have it. Galactus is the Ravager of Worlds. He is the embodiment, the epitome of a sentience, of a a pre-existing universe that was destroyed and bonded and fused with an entity called Galan. So he is like universe incarnate. He's got all sorts of powers. He controls matter and energy. And if you listen to your high school physics professor, control over matter and energy makes you do all kinds of stuff. You control everything. He can control densities, energy blasts. He can alter states, and he's just like godlike. I did some research on him, and back in the 50s and 60s, when Marvel was just starting out, the pioneering team led by Jack Kirby, one of the founders of the X-Men, I think. Uh, Back then, they were in search of a villain, and they couldn't go with the villains were always gang members, thugs, and whatnot. So they wanted something that was big. They wanted a villain that would generate comic sales, geometric increase of just a big increase in comic book sales, and they needed a villain that was big. So they decided, what was bigger than big? So they decided to create a character that was like a god, very godlike, with all these universal powers, these powers of the cosmos, and thus Galactus was born. And the Silver Surfer was, like a fallen angel. So there are a lot of allusions to religion and mythology and whatnot. In the movie Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, Galactus appears like a cloud, not in his usual form, because the director, Tim Story, said that it was for simplicity. Fox wanted a simple villain, and Tim Story, the director, said that, I wanted him to be shrouded in mystery, so that when they do the spin-off movie on the Silver Surfer, there'd be more airtime for how Galactus would look like. And there'd be a bigger surprise, bigger build-up, rather than waste how he would normally look like in such a short span of film time. So that's how it went. Okay, enough of Galactus. Let's go to the figure. Here he is in a size comparison with the superhero squad. These two came together, Silver Surfer and Human Torch. They were pretty decent. I mean, I've never had a Silver Surfer figure. This is my first Silver Surfer, first and only. And he does scale well with the Mighty Mugg's Galactus. I'm pretty happy with this. Even the Human Torch. I'll probably end up displaying my Mighty Mugg's Galactus with these two guys. So that'll be awesome. And just to give you an idea of how the Galactus, how he compares in size. This is a normal Marvel figure, so he's pretty okay, pretty decent, deluxe scale and size. Okay, a few last thoughts on Galactus and the Mighty Mugg. He's very good. I mean, I chose him because he has a very unique silhouette. I mean, his head is very different from all the other Mighty Muggs, and he's got a great helmet. It doesn't come off, which is nice, better than the Darth Vader. And you can only move his arms, but he does make an ominous looking display. So I really like him. If you already like Mighty Muggs, you go and get him. If you don't like Mighty Muggs, forget him. But if you are on the fence on Mighty Muggs, my bit of advice is try to pick a figure that you like. Don't try to collect everybody. Just try to pick a figure that you like and then buy him. And if you're not happy with the paint job on that figure, just get somebody else. And make sure you find someone with a different silhouette, someone with weapons or with a different head, and somebody who's unique. Okay, so there you have him. My review of Mighty Mugg's Galactus. Thanks for watching.